Well, greetings everyone, and on today's show, we're going to be looking at potential, actual, more realistic ideas of what we could get in the way of James Bond spin-off material. And that video is starting right now. So recently, I just finished rewatching 007 Road to a Million, and it got me thinking. Now, I will admit, I did like it the first time overall. The second time I watched the show, I did like it even more. It is very much growing on me as a fan of James Bond and a sort of, new fan to this whole sort of type of show. But as I say, it got me thinking, what other actual James Bond spin-offs could there be? Now, I've been on YouTube for years, I've been reading blog posts and articles, podcasts galore, and everyone always talks about, eventually, one way or another, the potential of James Bond spin-offs. And the most notable one is this potential Felix Leiter spin-off everyone always says would be great to see. Now, for me, I think that show already exists in a way of being the Amazon original Jack Ryan show, which John Krasinski, which, by the way, I think is absolutely amazing, and I will talk about one day on this channel as well. But being realistic here, I was actually thinking, after 007 Road to a Million and other previous things that we've got over the years, what are some actual potential spin-offs that they might do and we actually might get? And for me, I sort of characterised it into 3 different versions of what I think we could get. So I want to discuss that right here with you all now, and I wanted to present to you my, if you will, 3 potential areas of realistic James Bond spin-offs that we could get. And can I ask already, if you haven't, do give us a like, comment and subscribe to the channel. We're really trying to help us. We're trying to reach 2,000 subscribers for the end of the year. So if you can help us, that would be amazing. And don't forget as well, if you can't just sit down and watch a YouTube episode here, you can listen to the Bond Geek podcast, available on Spotify, on YouTube Music, where you can listen to this episode on the go. And if you are listening to it now, hello, welcome as well to your listening. So without further ado, let me get into now my first potential area we could get James Bond spin-offs, and that is more documentaries. So ladies and gentlemen, just hear me out here on this one. Would it be fair to say that over the recent years, ever since the early noughties, we've had these amazing James Bond documentaries on the DVDs, we've had some great now potential feature documentaries like Everything or Nothing, we've also had the music of 007, there's been some absolutely great James Bond documentaries, and let's not forget as well the Being James Bond, the Daniel Craig story documentary. So I'm thinking when it comes to potential more spin-off material of the Bond franchise, I think one of the places we should look into and hope to receive is more potential documentaries. I just mentioned just now about the Being James Bond, the Daniel Craig James Bond story, but that could be also fleshed out for another 5 episodes. I would have loved to see the Sean Connery story, the George Lazenby story, the Roger Moore story, the Timothy Dalton, the Pierce Brosnan story. You could do an entire series of these Being James Bonds about each individual character playing the role, and I think that could be a really interesting way to go about it as well, and could just be a little bit of fun. Just have a bit of a round table either from the current producers talking about it, people who were alive at the time and still are now talking about it. I think potentially more Being James Bond documentaries is great. And again, we had the music of 007, one about the titles of 007, what about the stunts of 007, what about the directors of 007. There are so many, I think, incredible more possibilities of James Bond documentaries that we could get on Amazon Prime, could get released theatrically, I don't know, but at the end of the day, I think my first potential realistic James Bond spin-off is without a doubt more James Bond documentaries, and based on how I've seen the Bond community react to them, how I've seen general audiences react to them, people would actually love to see these and actually view them a lot more. So yeah, first thing off the list, more James Bond documentaries. Now, my second idea about what we could do when it comes to James Bond documentaries is again a bit of a coy and a bit of a carry on from my previous version, but it is its own unique thing in a different way. Let me explain. One of the things we love about James Bond, I know a lot of fans who really get excited about this, is the globe trotting. I only speak for myself here, but I'm sure I speak for some others here. One of the things we love about when a new James Bond film comes out is the new locations that we can get to see, or go visit an old location we haven't seen for years and see how different it is and how amazing and this different perspective on it. I think it's fair to say the globe trotting side of James Bond is one of the things we absolutely love and adore about the series. So I'm thinking, in a sort of sense, a bit of a documentary style thing, but not quite. Currently on Amazon, there is the presenter James May, ex-Top Gear, Grand Tour, who does these like Our Man in India, Our Man in Japan, Our Man in Italy shows. Now I'm thinking, let's just say James May for the benefit of the example here. What if we had some real sort of Our Man in James Bond sort of shows? I mean, let's go to the locations where Bond films have been shot, where maybe famous stunts have happened, or places we could be. For instance, there could be an episode on Scaramanga's Islands. I know so many fans go there. Whole episode about Jamaica and the locations there. For Japan, we could go to Istanbul. We could go, just everywhere James Bond has been. We could do an episode, like a travel log. Yeah, that's what I'm really trying to get at. A travel log of James Bond adventures, and go to locations where these Bond films are shot. And then again, have interviews with people who are talking about the moments, what it was like then, things like that. I think potentially a real sort of deep dive into looking at the, if you will, the worldwide wonderful travel side of James Bond could be something I think really interesting. And again, it will, I think, bring a lot of fans, really general fans even, of James Bond into these shows and sort of make people think about them as well. Now, my last idea for a realistic James Bond spin-off, and I will admit this one is probably up to going to be my absolute favourite. I'm trying to keep hold of this one and not go too rambling on here, but one of the things I love about in the James Bond film series is the gadgets. I think we all love the gadgets. How much times as a kid came up with my own designs for gadgets, my own ideas for gadgets, love just rewatching the Q scenes over and over again. I love that stuff. I really did, absolutely. And I can't help feel that maybe a potential series or potential one-off documentary or like real sort of show, sort of in the lieu of Grand Tour and etc., about group of people choosing some Bond gadgets from the series and trying to recreate them, or creating their own gadgets. Basically, summarised, Q Labs, the TV show. I'd love to see real great engineers come together and try and recreate James Bond gadgets, non-lethal of course, but at the same time also come up with their new gadgets and get people to write and send in their ideas for gadgets and creating them as well. What a great idea I think that would be. It would really celebrate that lore of James Bond, the Q branch thing, which everyone loves, and I'm sorry, there's not one person there who doesn't love Q and his gadgets. So a show really about celebrating engineering work, celebrating the Bond gadgets of the past, I think could just be really fun, really exciting, and I can just see that show going on and on and on and on and on. So yeah, everyone, to summarise, those are my big three ideas for very much potential realistic James Bond spin-offs. We've got more documentaries I think would be a really great addition. We also have travelogue videos. I think they could be really great, exploring the world and where Bond has been. And I think a show celebrating Q Labs and really engineering and getting people to be creative when it comes to gadgets could be really fun, really exciting. And I have to say, I'll be all for it. But I want to know, what are your thoughts on this? Do you like the idea? Do you not like any ideas? What are some of your more realistic ideas for James Bond spin-offs? I want to know. Comment down below. Tell me your thoughts about it, because I really want to hear this. As always, everyone, my name's Amy Stevens, and I am the Bond Geek. Goodbye.